We are knee deep in Success Up September, where my whole entire focus is to coach you on amplifying your success this month. So, something we have yet to talk about is undercover success blocks. So, we all have these, and these are essentially the things that are standing in our way without us realizing it and prohibiting us from creating the success that we desire. So, I want to basically spend a few minutes talking about one specific thing that I see coming up again and again for the women that I work with because they don't really realize that it's happening until we actually uncover this. So I'm going to be revealing a few more of these as the month goes on, but today we are going to be talking about one specific, what I like to call undercover success block, and that is your space. So wherever you live, your physical space that is surrounding you right now. So I find that there's a lot of us that when you feel stressed in your space, you try to escape it because you don't feel comfortable at your own home. So when you are in this place, you end up going into what I call the success subtraction cycle because what ends up happening is you start feeling unhappy in your space. You're like, oh my God, I can't even be here. Like, I can't be here for one more second. So you start overthinking about how unhappy you are in your space. And once we start overthinking, then here goes our stress going to level 10. We're just like, okay, I can't even deal with this. You start looking at certain corners and you feel your stress spike. You're feeling all sorts of anxiety. So then what we end up doing is escaping it because we just can't physically be there anymore. And then once we actually leave the house, then we're spending money. So, what I find is when we enter the cycle, we're having a hard time actually finding ourselves in a place where we are financially feeling secure because you're not able to save the money that you want to save or actually get financially ahead because you're constantly trying to escape your reality at home. Is this sounding familiar to you? So, I find a lot of the women that I work with have gotten into this space where they love life experience. And I think that this is such a beautiful thing. I love life experience too. It's something I make a heavy investment in. And that's a huge area where I spend my money. So, the second I have a surplus, it typically goes to investing in my life experience, whether that be travel, going on day trips, just doing anything that really fills my life's portfolio with rich and rewarding experience. Because to me, that is a form of wealth, right? That is the ultimate success for me is having a really rich life experience. So there is nothing wrong with wanting to get out of your house and spending money to create these experiences for yourself. But where I find it getting in women's way is they have goals financially. And next thing you know, let's say you hate your house, it's feeling too small, it's feeling constricted, you feel like, oh my God, I just need to get away. So you plan this amazing trip for your family, and maybe you're not realizing exactly as you're cha-chinging up the dollars, you might have spent like $500, $1,000 on this weekend. And if you really just loved your space and you were in a space that you actually were just so excited to be in, it was like your home sanctuary, you just felt over the moon. Every time you walked in the door, you were like, oh my God, this is the best place I could ever be in this world. And you just had that love to where it was your own bubble that you just never wanted to leave. Obviously, you wouldn't be spending that money trying to escape your reality. So I was working with a client recently where she was taking a lot of weekend trips and she was going on these extravagant adventures and she was finding it really, really challenging to get ahead financially. And she wasn't meeting the goals that we had set for her. And it was all because she felt like she had outgrown her home. She didn't feel happy there. So the second she walked in the door, she's like, oh my God, I have to get out of here. And that is when the spiral of overthinking started. And the second we enter the spiral and our brain just takes off, it's really challenging because now we've entered onto this hamster wheel where we're just thinking, 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 and then creating a ton of stress or other feelings that feel uncomfortable in the process. And then once again, it creates this desire to escape. So we feel that if we can just get out of here, that we're going to escape this stress and all of this discomfort that we're feeling by being in our home. But the problem is we still have to go home to that. So what I was showing my client, and this would be an interesting thing for you to look at if you find yourself in this place, is what actually needs to happen to move into a space that fits where you're at for your life now. So maybe you had kids and you need more space. Maybe you were in an apartment. I know this is common for a lot of the people that are here in Los Angeles, a lot of my friends, a lot of my clients, where we've gotten to our space into this place where we're in our late 30s, early 40s, we're expanding into this new element of life and we're still stuck in an apartment or a condo. We really desire to be in a house. So our current reality where we're living in terms of our house does not match the lifestyle that we want to be in because we want space for our kids to run around and grow and we want to have yards. So is there something that you can do right now to start planning to create that reality for yourself? Because I know you can. And this is what I teach women how to do when we're working one-to-one together is to really start thinking as your own solution to get ahead so you can start creating the reality that you want. Because I promise you one thing, it's a lot closer and a lot more achievable than you think it is. But when we live in the cycle, what we've done is we've kind of just succumbed to this being our reality, and this just ends up being our habitual way of living. But you can 100% take control of this today and start really thinking about, okay, if I were to move into a house, what would I need for a down payment? What do I currently have in my savings? What would I like, what areas would I want to live in? Should I start looking at open houses? Can I get pre-approved right now? There are so many steps that you can take to just start moving the needle forward to where you're not currently trapped in a reality where you're stuck in this place that you hate living in and you're living in this the success subtraction cycle, because this is not going to get you into a feeling of truly feeling successful in your life when you're living in a place that you hate, right? So what I encourage you to do, start dreaming. And I know this might seem like a really crazy use of time, especially as adults. I think for so many of us, we're like, oh God, dreaming, that's for kids, right? But once your brain can start to see, this is where I would love to be. This is the zip code I want to be in. I want to have a 2-story house with, 3,000 square feet, and I want to have a huge pool. This is what I did when I moved into my house. I told my husband, if he's going to get me out of the city of Los Angeles and into suburbia, I needed a house with multiple waterfalls. I wanted ornate crown molding. I wanted beautiful cherry wood hard floors. I wanted wrought iron, like beautiful wrought iron decor around the deck. I wanted a spiral staircase coming down. I wanted a backyard that felt like an oasis where we can entertain all of our friends and family. I wanted a closet where I could do cartwheels. I wanted a bathtub that literally felt like an outdoor jacuzzi. Literally all of these things, when our realtor sent over the pictures, I knew exactly when it was my exact house, because everything that I had been dreaming of literally came to me because I got so clear on what I wanted, and we took action right away. I was like, that is the house. I've been dreaming of this house. I've been feeding vision into this. So if your brain tells you that feeding vision into your dreams is a waste of time, start really overcoming that thought, because it's not. And once you start getting what you want because you're actually feeding energy and vision into your dreams, you're definitely not going to see this as a waste of time, because now you're going to be getting everything that you want in your life. So I want you to just get honest with yourself. What do you want? What does that look like? Where do you want it to be? How do you want to feel when you live in that house, right? And then start looking at the finances, because when you start looking at the finances, that's going to ground the truth to this, right? Because you can't argue with the math. You're going to need X amount of dollars down if you want to buy a home. If you want to move into a condo, you're going to need X amount of dollars for a rent, whatever that looks like, right? So get honest with yourself about the finances, because once you can see that, then you can start actually saying, okay, do I want to make a decision to try to escape my reality? Or do I want to use that money, if I was going to spend $500 on a weekend trip, $1,000 on a weekend trip, whatever it might be, to actually put into the savings to get me closer to where I want to be? So this is no longer my reality, because that's how you're going to move the needle that much faster. So if you need any support in this, if you have any follow-up questions, send me a message today. I can help you work through this, so that way you're not stuck and this is being your habitual cycle that you really outgrown and living in a reality that no longer fits where you want to be. So send me a message today. We'll get you the support that you need.